Welcome to our YouTube channel, The Alien Tales, and please ensure that you have subscribed.
The alien spy used my memories against my people. I'd still choose her again. She extracted everything I knew about Earth's defenses. Billions died because I trusted her. Why do I still see her face in my dreams? The coffee shop on Europa Station buzzed with its usual mix of merchants, diplomats, and off-duty military personnel. I nursed my third espresso, reviewing tactical reports that made my head spin with their complexity. Earth's outer defense grid required constant updates, and as chief security analyst, I carried the weight of humanity's protection in my neural implants. She walked in like starlight given form, tall, ethereal, with silver hair that seemed to move independently of gravity and eyes the color of distant nebulae. Her skin held an opalescent quality that suggested non-human heritage, but many colonists had undergone genetic modifications. She wore civilian clothes, a flowing dress that managed to look both elegant and practical. "Excuse me," she said, her voice carrying an accent I couldn't place. "Is this seat taken?" I gestured to the empty chair across from me. "Please go ahead." "I'm Lyralei," she said, extending a hand that felt surprisingly warm against my palm. "I'm new to the station. Still learning the customs." "Dominic," I replied. "And trust me, Europa Station has no customs worth learning. Just coffee addicts and insomniacs like myself." Her laugh was like music, literally. I could swear I heard harmonics that shouldn't exist in human vocal cords. "What keeps you awake, Dominic?" "Work," I said, closing my tablet. Something about her presence made classified reports seem less important. "Security consulting. Very boring stuff." "I doubt anything about you is boring," she said, and the way she looked at me made my chest tighten. "Would you like to show me around the station? I find exploring new places is better with a guide who knows where the real coffee is." I should have said no. Should have remembered my training about operational security, about strangers who appeared too perfect. Instead, I found myself nodding. "I'd like that very much." 3 weeks passed in a blur of shared meals and long conversations. Lyralei possessed an insatiable curiosity about everything: human culture, literature, the peculiarities of station life. She claimed to be a xenolinguist, studying communication patterns between species, which explained her endless questions. "Tell me about Earth," she said one evening as we walked through the station's observation deck. The gas giant Jupiter dominated the viewport, its storms creating mesmerizing patterns of red and gold. "I haven't been back in 5 years," I admitted. "Work keeps me out here in the colonies. But it's beautiful blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. Not like the sterile functionality of these stations. You miss it, sometimes. But there's something to be said for the frontier. Out here, we're building something new." She turned to face me, her nebula eyes reflecting Jupiter's glow. What if that something new could change everything? What if first contact with another intelligent species could reshape humanity's future? The question struck me as oddly specific, but her passionate expression distracted me. "I suppose it would depend on the species, whether they came in peace or conquest. And how would you know the difference?" "Trust, I guess. Eventually, you have to trust someone." She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell her perfume, something that reminded me of rain on alien soil. "Trust is dangerous, Dominic. It makes us vulnerable. It also makes us human." She kissed me then, soft and urgent, tasting like starlight and secrets. When we broke apart, she whispered against my lips, "What if I told you I wasn't entirely human?" I should have pulled away, should have asked questions. Instead, I pulled her closer. "Then I'd say I don't care." The lie came so easily. Lyralei's apartment was sparse but elegant, decorated with crystalline sculptures that seemed to pulse with inner light. She'd invited me for dinner, but we'd barely touched the food before gravitating toward her couch, wrapped in each other's arms. "I want to show you something," she whispered, her fingers tracing patterns on my chest. "Something my people do when we care for someone." "Your people." The colonies where I grew up had different traditions. Her hand moved to rest against my temple. "We share memories, experiences. It creates a deeper connection than words ever could." I felt a slight tingling where she touched me, warm and not unpleasant. Is it safe? Completely. It's like dreaming together. The sensation intensified, and suddenly I could feel her emotions. Genuine affection mixed with something that felt like longing and regret. Images flashed through my mind. Vast crystalline cities beneath alien suns, beings of impossible beauty moving through spaces that defied physics, and underlying it all, a profound sense of loneliness. You really aren't human, I breathed. Does it matter? She asked, her mental voice overlaying her spoken words. Through the connection, I felt her fear of rejection, her desperate hope that I would accept her. Without conscious thought, I opened my mind fully, sharing my own memories, childhood on Earth, my military training, my work protecting humanity's colonies. I gave her everything, including details about the defense grids, patrol schedules, and classified installations. In that moment of perfect intimacy, security protocols seemed irrelevant. She pulled back abruptly, tears streaming down her face. Dominic, it's okay, I whispered, pulling her close. Whatever you are, wherever you come from, I love you. The words hung in the air between us, true and terrifying. She buried her face against my shoulder, and I felt her shake with silent sobs. The alarms began at 0347 hours, their strident wail dragging me from dreams of silver cities and impossible skies. I rolled out of bed in my quarters, muscle memory taking over as I grabbed my uniform and comm unit. All senior staff to combat stations, came the announcement. This is not a drill. Hostile vessels detected approaching Jupiter orbital space. I ran through the corridors of Europa Station, joining the stream of military personnel rushing to their posts. The command center buzzed with controlled chaos, officers shouting coordinates, tactical displays showing red warning symbols, and over it all, the steady voice of Admiral Harrison coordinating our response. Report! I barked as I reached my station. 67 vessels, unknown configuration. Lieutenant Torres responded. They appeared simultaneously at multiple points throughout the system. No response to hail attempts. I called up the defensive grid status on my primary screen. Everything looked normal, automated systems online, patrol ships in position, orbital platforms fully armed. Whatever was coming, we were ready. Sir, Torres said, her voice tight with confusion. They're targeting specific weak points in our defense grid. They know exactly where our blind spots are. Ice formed in my stomach. That's impossible. Those locations are classified beyond. The first explosions lit up the tactical display like deadly flowers. One by one, our defensive platforms died, destroyed with surgical precision by weapons we'd never seen before. The alien ships moved through our formations like they had a complete map of our defensive strategies. Because they did. How are they doing this? Admiral Harrison demanded. I stared at the screen, watching humanity's outer defenses crumble in real time, and realized with horrifying clarity exactly how they were doing it. The neural link, the shared memories, Lyralei's endless questions about Earth's defenses. I'd given them everything. My legs gave out, and I collapsed into my chair, watching billions of people die because I'd fallen in love with a lie. I found her in her apartment 3 hours after the attack began. She stood at the window overlooking Jupiter, still wearing the same flowing dress from our first meeting. Her reflection in the reinforced glass looked like a ghost. You're here, she said without turning around. 23 billion people are dead, I said. My voice sounded strange, detached. Europa, Ganymede, the outer colonies. Gone. I know. You knew it would happen. Finally, she turned to face me. Her nebula eyes held depths of sorrow that seemed almost human. Yes, I'd expected denial, justification, anything but simple honesty. It left me with nowhere to direct my rage. Who are you? Really? My name is Lyralei of the Hegemony's 5th Intelligence Division. My species were called the Veiltar. We've been watching humanity for decades, waiting for the right moment to act, to invade, to survive. She moved closer and I didn't step away. Couldn't. Your species is expanding too quickly, claiming worlds we've occupied for millennia. The hegemony decided that humanity needed to be contained. So you volunteered to seduce classified information out of a lonely analyst. Pain flashed across her features. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I was supposed to get close to you, extract what I needed, and leave. Clinical. Professional. But I fell in love with you. The words came out broken, desperate. I tried to stop it, tried to maintain distance. But you were so genuine, so willing to trust and be trusted. I'd never experienced anything like it. I laughed, the sound bitter in the recycled air. Love. You destroyed my entire species because of love. No, she said fiercely. I destroyed your species despite it. The distinction cut deeper than any accusation could have. They're evacuating the station, I said, watching ships launch through her window. The hegemony fleet will be here within hours. I know. Lyralei sat on her couch, looking small and fragile in a way that seemed impossible for someone who just orchestrated genocide. Dominic, there's something else you need to know. I remained standing by the door, ready to flee or fight, though I wasn't sure which. What else could there possibly be? The neural link we shared, it works both ways. I didn't just take your memories. I gave you some of mine. As she spoke, images flashed through my mind. Not my memories, but hers. The hegemony's vast crystalline ships, weapons that could shatter worlds, technologies beyond human comprehension. And underlying it all, their fear. Humanity's rapid expansion had terrified them into preemptive action. You can use what I've shown you, she continued. The remaining human fleets, Earth's defenses, they need to know what they're facing. How to fight back. Why would you help me? Because the alternative is total extinction. The hegemony planned to eliminate humanity entirely, but the attack today was meant to be a demonstration. If Earth surrenders now, they might spare the homeworld. I felt her alien memories settling into my consciousness like seeds in fertile soil. Battle tactics, weapon frequencies, weaknesses in hegemony technology, everything humanity would need to mount a defense. And what happens to you when they realize you've compromised their entire strategic advantage? Her smile was heartbreaking. The same thing that happens to all traitors. Through the window, the last evacuation ship disappeared into Jupiter's shadow. Soon, we'd be alone on a dying station, waiting for her people to arrive. Come with me, I said suddenly. Help me warn Earth. They'd never trust me, but they'd trust me. And I trust you. She stared at me in amazement. After everything I've done, you still... I love you, I said simply. Traitor, spy, alien, I don't care. I love you. Europa Station shuddered as the first hegemony ships entered the system. Through the corridor windows, I could see their vessels. Impossible geometries of crystal and light that hurt to look at directly. They moved with predatory grace toward the abandoned station. The docking bay, Lyralei said, her hand tight in mine as we ran. There's still one ship left, a maintenance courier. You checked. I've been planning our escape since the moment I realized I loved you more than my mission. The courier ship was ancient, barely larger than a fighter, but its engines hummed with reliable power. I strapped myself into the pilot's seat while Lyralei activated the communications array. Broadcasting on all emergency frequencies, she said. If anyone from the fleet is still alive, this is Captain Rodriguez aboard the ESS Defiance, came a crackling response. Who is this? Chief Analyst Dominic Thorne, Europa Station, I replied. I have critical intelligence about the hostile force. Requesting immediate conference with Fleet Command. Analyst Thorne, our records show Europa Station was destroyed 3 hours ago. I looked at Lyralei, who nodded grimly. Negative, Captain. The station is about to be destroyed, but I have intelligence that could save Earth. I also have someone with me, a hegemony defector with detailed knowledge of their capabilities. Static filled the channel for long moments. Stand by, Analyst Thorne. Behind us, Europa Station erupted in silent fire as hegemony weapons tore through its hull. The explosion created a brief new star in Jupiter's shadow, beautiful and terrible. Analyst Thorne, you are ordered to rendezvous with the Defiance immediately. Be advised, any hostile actions will result in your immediate destruction. Understood, Captain. Setting course now. As our tiny ship accelerated toward the human fleet, Lyralei squeezed my hand. They'll want to interrogate me, torture me for information. I won't let that happen. You may not have a choice. I looked at her, This impossible woman who'd destroyed everything I'd sworn to protect and somehow become the only thing that mattered. Then we'll face it together. The ESS Defiance's brig was designed for human prisoners. Lyralei's alien physiology made the energy restraints largely ineffective, but she sat still as stone while Admiral Fletcher and his intelligence officers grilled her for information. The hegemony fleet consists of 412 vessels, she said for the third time. Their primary weapons operate on crystalline resonance frequencies. If you modulate your shields to these harmonics, you can deflect approximately 60% of their firepower. And we're supposed to trust intelligence from the creature that murdered 23 billion people? Fletcher's aide, Commander Walsh, looked like he wanted to space Lyralei immediately. You're supposed to trust me, I interjected from my position by the wall. I've verified her information against what I experienced during the neural link. Every detail checks out. A neural link, Fletcher said coldly, that gave her access to our most classified defense protocols. Yes, sir. And for which I take full responsibility. Lyralei spoke up, her voice carrying alien harmonics that made the walls resonate. Admiral, in approximately 4 hours, the Hegemony Advance Force will reach Earth's outer defense perimeter. Their first target will be Luna Base, followed by the orbital shipyards. They believe humanity will surrender after losing your primary military installations. And will we? That depends on whether you use the tactical information I've provided. Your current defensive strategies will fail completely. But if you adapt, Fletcher studied the tactical projections Lyralei had provided. These show the hegemony losing nearly half their fleet, approximately 47% casualties, assuming optimal human coordination. Those are acceptable losses for them? For the first time since the interrogation began, Lyralei's composure cracked. Admiral, you don't understand. The hegemony sees humanity as a plague that must be eradicated. They're willing to sacrifice every ship in their fleet to ensure Earth's destruction. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Then we make sure they pay that price, Fletcher said grimly. Earth hung like a blue jewel against the star field, her orbital defenses glittering like a crown of fire. The human fleet spread in defensive formation, 800 ships against 400 hegemony vessels that moved like living crystalline nightmares. From the Defiance's observation deck, Lyralei and I watched the battle unfold. Her alien intelligence had been incorporated into the fleet's tactical systems, giving human commanders real-time analysis of hegemony movements. There, she said, pointing to a cluster of enemy ships. They're forming a resonance matrix. If they complete it, they can shatter Earth's moon. I relayed her warning to the bridge, and a squadron of human destroyers broke formation to intercept. The engagement was brief but vicious. Crystalline beams met plasma cannons in brilliant displays of light and death. We're holding them, I said, hardly daring to believe it, for now. But look at the casualty ratios. The tactical display told a grim story. For every hegemony ship destroyed, humanity lost 3. We were winning battles but losing the war through simple attrition. There has to be another way, I said. Lyralei was quiet for a long moment, her nebula eyes reflecting the light of distant explosions. There is. The hegemony command ship, if it's destroyed, their fleet coordination will collapse. They'll retreat. Then why haven't we targeted it? Because it's protected by a quantum field that makes it essentially invulnerable to conventional weapons. She turned to face me, and I saw terrible resolve in her expression. But not to someone with hegemony biotechnology. Understanding hit me like a physical blow. No, I can get aboard their command ship. Disable the quantum field from within. It would be suicide. Yes, she said simply. But Earth would survive. Through the viewport, another human cruiser died in crystalline fire, taking 800 souls with it. How many more would die if this battle continued? There has to be another way, I repeated desperately. She kissed me then, soft and final. I love you, Dominic. That's why I have to do this. The shuttle bay was chaos. Damage control teams rushing to repair battle-scarred fighters, while pilots prepared for what everyone knew would be the final assault. Lyralei moved through it all like a ghost, invisible in her determination. The command ship is here, she said. indicating a massive crystalline structure at the heart of the hegemony formation. I can reach it if you provide escort to the outer defensive perimeter. Admiral Fletcher looked exhausted, aged decades in the span of hours. The battle was going badly, and everyone knew it. What guarantee do we have that you won't simply rejoin your people? None, Lyralei replied, except the fact that I've already committed treason by helping you this far. And what guarantee do we have that this isn't another trap? I stepped forward. You have my word, Admiral, and my willingness to pilot her there personally. Fletcher stared at me for a long moment. Around us, the ship shuddered under hegemony fire. You understand that this is likely a one-way mission? Yes, sir. And you're willing to die for this? He gestured at Lyralei with barely concealed disgust. I looked at her. This impossible woman who'd destroyed everything I'd sworn to protect and somehow become my entire world. Her silver hair caught the emergency lighting like captured starlight, and her nebula eyes held depths of love and sorrow I'd never fully comprehend. She'd used me, betrayed me, caused the deaths of billions. She was alien, enemy, everything I should hate, and I'd choose her again in a heartbeat. She's trying to save what's left of humanity, Admiral. That makes her more human than most humans I know. Fletcher nodded grimly. Launch in 5 minutes. As we prepped the shuttle, Lyralei touched my hand. You know I can't come back. I know, and you know that even if we succeed, some people will never forgive what I've done. What we've done. I know that too. Then why? I thought about all the reasons: duty, honor, the survival of the species. But in the end, it came down to something simpler. Because love isn't about choosing the right person. It's about choosing to love the person you've chosen, no matter what that costs. She smiled then, brilliant and heartbreaking. Even if she's a traitor who destroyed your world, especially then. The shuttle launched into battle, carrying us toward the heart of the enemy fleet and whatever ending awaited us there. Behind us, Earth turned in her ancient orbit, blue and beautiful and worth dying for, just like the alien woman I loved.